You've been told dopamine is the reason you're distracted, that it's the enemy, that if you could just cut it out, you'd finally focus. But what if that's the biggest lie in self-improvement? 87% of Gen Z say they feel addicted to their phones, endless scrolling and constant notification. But here's the twist. Less than 4% actually understand what dopamine really does. And without that understanding, you're stuck. You're trying to fight something you don't even see clearly. You think you lack motivation, but in reality, your brain is just running the wrong code. I get it, I really do. I tried the dopamine detox path too. Deleted all my apps, quit sugar, quit music, tried to live like a monk, hoping I'd magically become more focused, but nothing changed. Because dopamine was never the problem was how I used it, or better said, how it used me. So if you've been feeling like you're stuck in loops you didn't choose, like you're drifting even though you want more, this video is for you. But listen carefully. Don't skip, don't fast forward, because if you can't even watch a few minutes designed to help you win, how are you supposed to handle the discomfort that comes with actual growth? Stay with me. This isn't a TikTok tip. This is the shift most people never make. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's break this down, step by step. No fancy words, just truth. Dopamine isn't some evil chemical ruining your life. It's not the reason you're broken. In fact, it's the exact thing that kept humans alive for thousands of years. It's what made us hunt, build, and create. But today, it's been hijacked. Apps, notifications, fast food, short videos, games. They've all learned how to press your dopamine button over and over. And your brain? It starts chasing those fast hits. Not because you're weak, but because that's what it's been trained to do. Here's how it works. Dopamine is a motivator. It doesn't give you pleasure, it drives you towards pleasure. It creates a wanting, not a having. And when you constantly get dopamine for doing nothing important, your brain starts thinking that's normal. That's why it's so hard to read a book. That's why you get bored after 2 minutes of studying. Because your brain thinks, where's the reward? Where's the rush? And here's the key insight. If you don't control where your dopamine goes, someone else will. This isn't just about your phone, it's about your future. If every day your brain gets rewarded for doing easy things, scrolling, clicking, jumping from tab to tab, you are literally training it to avoid anything hard. And that's dangerous. Because success isn't about luck, it's about consistency, focus, and long-term thinking. And none of that comes from a distracted mind. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine every time you check your phone before doing your work, you're teaching your brain, avoid effort, choose comfort. Now multiply that 100 times a day. Every scroll is a lesson. Every swipe is a vote. And those votes, they decide your identity. Because in the end, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And dopamine is the fuel your system runs on. So let's flip it. Let's stop seeing dopamine as the enemy and start using it as a weapon. In the next part, I'll show you the exact way I rewired my habits using something I now call the dopamine direction. But before that, remember this. You're not lazy, you're not broken, your brain is just doing what it was trained to do. And if you trained it into this loop, you can train it out. Here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to quit dopamine, you just need to redirect it. Think of it like this. You're not addicted to your phone, you're addicted to easy wins. Tiny, effortless rewards that feel good now, but steal your energy later. So here's what worked for me. I didn't go cold turkey, I didn't delete everything or lock myself in a cabin. I just created a simple rule. No dopamine without progress. Before I could open Instagram, I had to do one small task. Before I watched YouTube, I had to write 50 words. Before I scrolled, I had to do 10 push-ups. Tiny actions, but they changed everything. Why? Because I started teaching my brain effort comes before reward. And slowly, it listened. The scroll didn't feel free anymore. It had to be earned. That's what builds discipline. Not forcing yourself to suffer, but linking pleasure to progress. And this part is important. Don't aim for perfect days, aim for clean loops. Here's how to build your own dopamine direction. First, you pick a trigger, something you already do, like feeling bored. Then, you add a tiny action, something that moves you forward, even a little. And last, you give yourself the reward, something small that you enjoy. You need an example? So you're bored, you read one page, then you check your phone. You're lazy, walk for 3 minutes, then grab coffee. overwhelmed, journal 2 sentences, then music. That's how you train your brain to crave the right things. Because you're not removing dopamine, you're earning it. And the best part? After just a few days, it starts to feel good. You begin to crave the win, the focus, the clarity. Not because it's easy, but because your brain is learning. This is who I am now. And when you start to believe that, you don't need motivation anymore. You've got identity. And here's where most people fall off. They build the system, they set the rules, and they start strong. But after a few days, they stop. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because of something deeper. Their brain doesn't feel safe with change. Sounds strange, right? But it's real. See, your brain is wired for familiarity. And even if your old habits were unhealthy, they felt safe, predictable and known. But progress? It's new, it's uncertain. And to your nervous system, uncertainty means danger. That's why when you finally start to show up, a voice creeps in. This won't last. It's too much. Let's just chill today. You think it's lack of willpower, but it's actually your brain trying to protect you from a future it doesn't trust yet. That's why real transformation isn't about rules, it's about repetition, reinsurance, and building what normal feels like. You need to teach your brain success is safe, structure is safe, effort is not danger, it's alignment. And that starts with tiny proof moments. Every day you follow your loop, you show your nervous system, this is who we are now, this is what we do, and we're still safe. That's how identity forms. Not from a big goal, but from consistent small wins. From rewiring what normal means, until your default becomes focus. And once that switch happens, everything changes. Because now, discipline doesn't feel forced, it feels familiar. And when it feels familiar, it feels easy. That's how people you admire stay consistent. Not because they're stronger, but because their system became their identity. And that's what you're building now. So here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped chasing motivation and started protecting clarity. Because when your mind is cluttered, even the best habits fall apart. You can't build focus in a brain that's always reacting. So what's the real enemy? It's not laziness, it's mental noise. And that noise? It comes from unclosed loops, open tabs, half-finished thoughts, undecided priorities. All these tiny fragments live in your brain, draining your energy before the day even starts. And when your brain is in survival mode, guess what it craves? Dopamine, distraction, and escape. So if you want to master focus, you need to master mental silence. And no, that doesn't mean meditating for 2 hours a day. It means giving your brain space to breathe. It means closing loops, deciding once, creating rules you don't have to rethink every morning. Here's an example. Instead of asking yourself, should I go to the gym today? You decide once, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. you go to the gym. Loop closed, energy saved, and focus protected. It's not about doing more, it's about thinking less. Because the truth is, most people don't lack drive, they lack a system that protects their clarity. That's the real unlock. Your brain doesn't need louder motivation, it needs fewer decisions. Most people fail not because they're not capable, but because they're stuck in loops they didn't choose. So you wake up, then you check your phone, and you feel behind. You scroll and feel guilty, and then you promise to do better tomorrow. And now you repeat that every day. And every time you repeat that loop, your brain says, this is who we are now. But here's the truth, you are not your loops, you're just repeating them. And the moment you choose a new one, everything shifts. It doesn't take a big change, it takes a precise one. You don't need a new life, you need a new default. That's the power of clarity. When you know your first 3 moves of the day, you don't need willpower. You don't wake up lost, you wake up aligned. So here's what I do, and maybe it works for you too. I set my loop the night before. Simple and clear. No decisions when I wake up. This could be, for example, drink water, write 1 sentence, and 10 minutes of deep breathing. Only then do I check anything. That's it. No huge morning routine, no unrealistic 5 a.m. hustle. Just intentional control over the first 10 minutes. Because when you control the start, you shape the tone for everything after. This is how you slowly retrain your brain to expect clarity, not chaos. And once that happens, dopamine stops pulling you away and starts working with you. So if this clicked for you, if a part of you right now is thinking, this is what I needed, don't let that pass. Because most people feel that spark and then just scroll to the next thing. And that's the loop we're breaking. Now, before we close, I made something for you completely free, because I know how hard it is to remember all of this when life gets loud again. So I built a small tool to make it stick. It's a one-page PDF and I call it the Identity Loop Starter. And it's designed to help you take everything from this video and turn it into something you can actually use today. You'll map your triggers, choose your reset, and begin rewiring your loop. It's not fancy, it's not complicated, but it's powerful. Because when your brain sees it every day, you start acting differently without forcing it. It's linked below, no spam, no login, completely free, just something real. Because you're here for the real change. And if you made it to this point in the video, that tells me everything I need to know. You're not just watching, you're building. So do what 95% won't. Take action. I'll be here for the next step, but this one is yours. Stay sharp, control the first loop, and I'll see you in the next one.